In June of 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus, along with their 3 young children, were preparing to move into their new home at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. The 6-bedroom house was described as the family's dream home, and it was just a few blocks away from Maria's childhood home. However, 3 days after the sale was finalized, and before the Broaddus family had even begun the moving process, an anonymous letter was delivered to their new mailbox. The letter, written in large, clumsy handwriting, was addressed to the new owner.
Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood.
And while that greeting may sound innocent enough, the rest of the letter's contents were haunting to say the least. So join us today while we take a look at one of the creepiest and most paranoid-inducing cases of the past 20 years, and one that was recently the subject of a major Netflix series, The Watcher of Westfield. I'm your host, Michael, and this is Strange and Unexplained.
.657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now. And as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out.
The letter in question also detailed information about the Broaddus family, indicating, quote, "You have children, and I have seen them." So far, I think there are 3 that I have counted. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call them and draw them to me. End quote. Now, this initial letter that the Broaddus family received was also the first letter that bore the distinct cursive signature at the bottom of the page. It just said, "The Watcher." Upon receiving the letter, the Broaddus family contacted the previous homeowners, John and Andrea Woods. The Woods confirmed that during their 23 years of residence at 657 Boulevard, they had only received a similar letter once, shortly before their departure from the home. They emphasized that they never experienced any feelings of being watched during their time at the home, and rarely even felt the need to lock their doors at night. Although they found the letter they received to be odd, the couple said that they threw it out, believing it to be a prank. Both families reported the letters to the authorities, leading to the opening of an investigation. The authorities cautioned the families against discussing the letters with anyone, including their neighbors, who were now considered potential suspects. Now, despite the fact that the Broaddus family still hadn't moved into the home, they had already received another letter. This time, the letter contained even more unsettling details about the family, such as the birth order and nicknames of the children.
657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is very far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic? Or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better.
And after receiving this letter, it's no surprise that the Broaddus family chose not to move into their new home. Instead, they put the property back on the market again after only 6 months. But the couple were unsuccessful in finding a buyer due to the news around these disturbing letters. And it can be worth stating that the Broadduses made sure to disclose the contents of the letters to potential buyers who expressed serious interest in the property. Now, in the following years, their attempts to sell the property still proved unsuccessful, so much so that the Broadduses even considered selling their home to simply be demolished, which prompted backlash from the Westfield Planning Board and the local community. Following a planning board meeting in the spring of 2016, the Broadduses successfully found renters for the property, finally. The new tenants, a brave family, did not appear to be bothered by the mysterious letters that had been causing concern. However, shortly after the family moved in, a third letter from the Watcher was received, which was more aggressive than the previous two. In the letter, the writer criticized the media coverage of the situation, but commended the neighbors, referring to them as "my soldiers of the Boulevard" for their part in preventing attempts to demolish the property. Furthermore, the newest letter ended with a direct threat of revenge against the Broaddus couple.
Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away, but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones suddenly die. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break.
To the surprise of the Broadduses, the new renters were not driven off by the letter, and only asked for some more security cameras to be placed around the property. Over time, there were multiple individuals considered as potential suspects in the investigation of the Watcher's identity. Law enforcement initially focused on individuals within the neighborhood, including long-term resident Michael Langford, who had been living in the area since the 1960s. Another person of interest was a local man known in the area for playing violent video games under the alias The Watcher. However, after forensic testing was done on the letters, it was revealed that the DNA on the envelope belonged to a female. Authorities shifted their attention to Michael's sister, Abby, who worked as a real estate agent. Suspicion was even cast on Maria Broaddus herself. Now, as for the neighbors, they quickly suspected that the Broadduses had sent the letters themselves in an attempt to back out of the sale once they realized that they couldn't afford the home. And something that may have added a little truth to that was the fact that Derek Broaddus confessed to New York Magazine that he himself had sent anonymous letters to some of his neighbors who had criticized him on Facebook back in 2017. But despite the multiple years of investigations, the Watcher has never been identified. The mystery still remains. Despite the controversial past of 657 Boulevard, the Broadduses were finally able to sell the property. In the summer of 2019, they received $959,000 for the home, resulting in a financial loss compared to their initial purchase price of over $1.3 million. And according to a report by NY Magazine, the Broadduses left behind a photograph of the Watcher's handwriting for the new owners, just as a precaution in case any more letters were ever received in the future. However, no additional letters have ever been reported since the Broadduses sold the home in 2019. But there you have it, folks, the story of the Westfield Watcher. Was this one of the most unsettling stalking cases of all time? Or was this just a desperate attempt to save money or garner attention? Unfortunately for now, we're still stuck with the question, who was the Watcher? But we hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, please check out all of our other shows here on the TCG network. Also, check out our YouTube channel, where you can see videos like this one and many more. And of course, please like and subscribe for more content just like this almost daily. And if you'd like to support us here at TCG Productions, please check out patreon.com/truecrimeguys. There's a link in the description of this episode. But until next time, be strange. Just don't be strangers. See ya.